Welcome to day number 4 of our 30-day yoga meditation series. Today we will be doing 4 minutes of meditation, and I'll be sharing with you one last breathing practice, one of the most powerful ones that I find that I use on a regular basis. Now before we get there, I just wanted to recap the previous 3 videos. So the very first video, we did an overview of yogic meditation and a little bit of movement. If you haven't seen it, go back, start at video number 1. The second and third lessons, we did 2 other breathing practices. We did a relaxation breath, and then we did circular breathing, where you focus on just creating a really smooth breath. Now, all the practices, the supplemental pieces that I'm offering, are for you to further explore and to find out what practices work for you. If you enjoy the movement practice, do more of it, and maybe even go look into some yoga videos that you would like to do. There's a lot of free content out there. I could recommend some places, but I'd rather you go find your own. See what speaks to you. If you enjoyed the breathing practices, do more of them. There are so many different kinds of breathing practices. Just with pattern breathing alone, you can get into some really cool stuff. There's things like box breathing and breath retention practices that are really powerful and great for developing lung capacity. But these are all for things for you to explore further on your own. What I'm looking to do here is just share some of the most helpful supplemental pieces that I find are good prerequisites for building a solid meditation. So the third breathing practice, and the last one that I'll cover before moving on to other topics, is essentially the noisy breath. What you call in regular a yoga practice, a yoga movement practice, called the Ujjayi breath, or the victorious breath. And basically, you're just creating constriction in the back of your throat so that your breath sounds like the ocean. And the way to do this is think about how you breathe when you're trying to fog up a pane of glass or a mirror, and then you clean it or polish it. So I find it really helpful if you hold your hand up in front of you and you just go and make that breathy, noisy exhale. So you do that a couple times. You kind of get the feeling of what it's like to have that slight constriction. And then as you do this, you just close the mouth. And it goes, so all the air is forced to go out of the nose and in the nose. Now it's a little trickier to do it on the inhale, and it takes practice. So highly encourage you, try this a few times, do the, and see if you can make your breath noisy on the inhale. You might find that when you do it, your breath stutters a little bit, or it feels weird. Play around with this. Once you find that you can create a noisy breath on the inhale and exhale, a couple of nice things happen. So one, there's a physiological component to constricting the airway. There's components. The first one is that you're limiting the rate of the inhale and exhale. You're limiting how much air can go through that constricted passage. The second thing is there's a sound and a tone that happens that, according to some research that I've read, it actually promotes relaxation because it stimulates the vagus nerve, the biggest nerve that comes and descends from the brain all the way down to the gut. So this breathing practice, this noisy breath, it's great for those reasons in particular. It promotes relaxation because of the vagus nerve effect, and it promotes relaxation because it forces your exhale and inhale to be longer. The other thing it does is it gives you a audible feedback, so you can now hear your breath and you can better keep track of it. It helps to drown out other sounds, and then eventually you'll find that it's actually just soothing to hear your own breath. So I want you to spend a couple minutes, play around with this, just working on creating a noisy breath. So I'll try and lean in a little bit so you can hear what mine sounds like when I'm just breathing in and out of the nose. Okay, here's my close-up. So if you haven't picked up, I have a microphone down here. You can't see, it's out of the frame. So now just play around with that. We'll give it about a minute for you to work on creating that noisy breath and sit with it. Just about a minute of breathing. Remember, you're playing around, you're experimenting with something new here. If you need to do more of the fogging of the mirror, do that. At the very least, just look to lengthen the inhale and exhale, and try and relax yourself a little bit with each breath. All right, so keep that breath moving. So now we're going to move into a 4-minute meditation practice. And your goal here, well, hard to say that there's really a goal to all of this. There kind of is. But for this practice, the focus of this meditation practice is to, 1, watch the thoughts as they bubble up, come back to your relaxation, and come back to the breath as you need to. Over time, you will find that it's easier to detach from the thoughts. And you might even begin to notice there's a releasing sensation happening in the head. I notice this myself, and it usually takes a handful of minutes to notice, so you might not see it until we get to the 10-minute or longer mark. So we got some ways to go. Let's sit up nice and tall for the meditation. Remember, tall posture, supported. If you need to, put something behind yourself to support you. And I'll sound it off with the sound of my bell here. Close the eyes if you like, or gaze softly down. Finding an evenness of breath. So come on back. So I'm curious to hear, maybe in the comment section or on social media, what you guys are starting to notice around this longer meditation session, what questions you have. As we go on, I'll be giving you more things to do in the meditation practice to eventually, hopefully, develop some kind of internal realization. And that's hard to clarify exactly what that means, but like an aha moment as you sit there in meditation. And generally, I think in my experience, that aha moment is when the mind relaxes and the thoughts stop spinning around, and I become very aware of my body, of the breath. And then the longer I sit with that, some other things start to happen. And we'll get into those as we go through this series. So I hope you're enjoying this, and stay tuned for day number 5, where we do 5 minutes. See ya.